Oh, thank you, Laura. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Skagit Transit Board of Directors meeting for October 18, 2023. The time is 11 o'clock. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next up is our roll call of council members. I'm Mayor Jill Boudreau of the City of Mount Vernon, and I'll ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Commissioner Browning.
Here.
Commissioner Janicki.
Here.
Commissioner Reason.
Here.
Mayor Boudreau.
Here.
Mayor Johnson. Mayor Miller.
Here.
Mayor Sexton.
Here.
Councilperson Aslett. Councilperson Holst.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
And Colleen Kennedy. Thank you.
All right, thank you. At this time, I just want to remind folks that are online to please make sure that you're muted throughout the meeting. And then it's time now for public comment. If there's anyone, I don't see anyone here in the room for public comment. Is there any? Oh, Colleen Kennedy, it was like to make a comment. Please move to the microphone. Comments about 3 minutes or so. Does that work? Oh, there we go.
First of all, I want to apologize for having to leave early at the last meeting. I was only given an hour time span instead of 2 to attend the meeting. So my next point is I actually didn't plan to read a letter this week until something was brought to my attention last Thursday during a labor management meeting. Crystal said that she was upset that I was saying things that were not true in my statements to the board. Specifically, that there were no routes canceled last year and there have been multiple routes canceled this year since her tenure. She also stated that she had been having meetings with multiple board members to correct the things that I have said that were wrong. Let me be perfectly clear. I have said nothing that is not absolutely true in my statements. Morale is in the toilet. People, not just drivers, do not want to come to work. People are feeling targeted. An excessive amount of people, again, not just drivers, are being disciplined. And the public is upset with last-minute cancellations. Since the only thing Crystal mentioned to me was the route cancellations, let me clarify what exactly happened, since it was before Crystal's time here. When COVID began almost 3 years ago now, the current CEO met with the then union president. It was agreed that the drivers would be divided into 3 groups to rotate working their bidded shifts, group A, B, and C. By doing this, Skagit did not lay off any drivers. It was also discussed and agreed that the second route 205 and 207 each day would be discontinued during this time period. All drivers and the public were notified well in advance that this would be happening by posting signs on the bus stops, in the buses, and at the park and rides on Skagit Station listing a start date. When it was the 205 and or 207 drivers' day to work, they had first choice of an alternate route the previous week. An MOU was also written to address this temporary change in service and that these 2 routes would be reinstated as soon as possible. Unfortunately, it took almost 2 years to get back to normal at Skagit Station, or Skagit Transit, excuse me. Since Crystal has been hired, routes have been canceled on that day without warning to the public or drivers. This is what is causing the upheaval with the public and drivers currently. This is totally different than what happened during COVID, and I have not heard from a single driver that is not grateful in the way that Dale handled the COVID crisis and kept every person employed. I have no idea what other topics Crystal feels I have not been truthful about in my statements, but I truly hope that someone will let me know in some way so that they can be corrected with facts, especially if they happened before Crystal was hired. I want to just also say welcome back to Chris. He's the most honorable, kindest, and honest employee that we have. And I noticed in the packet today that Crystal has added items today that I haven't seen until right now, so I haven't been able to address them. Thank you.
Any other public comments from anyone online or in the audience? I didn't see you come in, sorry. All right, seeing none, we'll move along. It is now item 5, which is an executive session. We'll call executive session of the board to meet This is regarding potential litigation according to RCW 42.30.11. And we would meet in executive session for approximately 20 minutes. If we need an extension of time, it will be announced in the open session. So I'd invite the board members to join me in the room, the conference room over there. 11:05 will return about 11:25. All right, I'm going to call the Skagit Transit Board meeting back into order after executive session. The time is now 11:37. Item 6 on our agenda is our consent and action items. This is comprised of items A, which is the approval of the September meeting minutes, item B, which is the approval of claims and payroll, and item C, the approval of July claims and payroll, and C is the approval of August claims and payroll. Any questions from the board, or what is your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Browning, a second by Mayor Sexton. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, actually, I should make sure that Councilmember Host got back on the Zoom.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I just couldn't see that part. All right. In our full discussion and action items, there is a monthly budget report for July is next. I will point out to the board that we did not receive this until 9:57. I have not been able to really view it on my phone. And so I will just turn it over to staff and please do a thorough update of the work. And is this turn to Chris? All right, Chris, go ahead.
Good morning, board. It's nice to be back in the office after being out for 3 months. There's much work to be done. Thank you for assisting in the hiring process for Crystal's new employee, the accounting manager, Chris Arkle. I'm getting to know him and we're starting a training process. I thank you for that. In just a few days, I've produced financial recap reports and budget update reports for July and August. As you know, a third-party vendor has been working in the financial system in my absence. The short time I've been back, I found and corrected misstatements within the June revenue recap report that was presented to you in my absence. Those are reflected in the July revenue recap reports and August to show the true revenue collections. It's very important for you to know that all of our hard copy audited financial records are not currently on site. So it's not possible for Chris or I to determine where the vendor left off or what's been completed.
Chris, I'm sorry. Would you please just speak to the report that's here, the board? This is not anything of the board to get into the depths of how this was prepared.
Yes, certainly I will, but I need to let the board know what the status is before I give you the figures as
That's really what the CEO does. So I'm going to ask you to just go over the monthly update report that's been presented to the board, please.
okay, but I need to let you know, I can tell you that the month of August, this is part of the board report. Okay, I'll continue.
Let's do July first, then we can get to August.
Yep, July. So the monthly budget report for July, items of interest are the sales tax revenue for July is $1,568,089. That's 10% above the collections for the prior year at this time. And the August year-to-date earnings collections is $11.2 million. Your financials will show $8.4 million because 2.7 million has been reversed out. $2.7 million is attributable to December and November of 2022. So that's important to note. But if you take a look at the revenue recap report, it will show you the rolling total for revenue for sales tax for the year, where the profit and loss reports do not. And historically speaking, as I was going to mention, and just before you cut me off, that those reversals, accruals and reversals were done toward the end of the year for that very reason, that our largest revenue source by my predecessors, and it was blessed by the state auditor's office, so that the board would be able to see what the revenue collections were to date to follow budget. The financial statements are correct. It's that the reversals were not completed by, in this case, Motoko, until the end of the year. And we had discussions on that, and I'm certainly open to changing that. Yeah.
Just a comment on that, as an accounting practice, and we generally don't get into this depth, but because sales tax is such a large item, I just feel compelled to at least mention. So if January and February's cash receipts were pushed back into revenue for 2022, which is what we're talking about, is the accrual, those cash payments were pulled backward.
Yes.
Generally, I think what had been happening was that there's 12 months of cash receipts. You correct at year end and pull back the January, February into a December 31st, but then be able to reverse the prior entry so that year to date wouldn't be off millions of, or it wouldn't be different millions of dollars, but we're talking about a timing difference in the timing of accounting entry.
Absolutely.
So I saw the 11 million or so on this last page of that finance packet. So thank you for flagging it. It's just, I would expect that accrual and reversal would happen at the same time. So there's not $1 million differential, but just a correction, slight correction.
As did I, and that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure that the board understood what that means in the financials when you're looking at the profit and loss, and it looks like our revenues aren't keeping up with the budget for the year. We've reversed out those two. Yeah. Okay. Any questions with respects to that? Does everyone understand what's happening there? Okay. Our grant revenue, we received in $6,185 in local operating grant revenue. That was two different separate grants. Our federal operating grant revenue is $90,880 for the month of July. State capital, $61,906. The fair revenues, fair revenue collections for the month of July, $58,644. It's about $20,000 above our budget trend. And one other thing to note about fairs is that the revenue report indicates, the profit and loss statement indicates that we've collected youth revenue, youth fairs, and youth ride for free. So I need to explain that just a little bit to you, that youth have purchased fares online. The UMO system has a programmatical error in it, and we're working with that software vendor to shut that off. But as youth are buying fares, we're having to reach out to them and then reimburse them and refund that money to them. So where it looks like they're in the income statement that there are fare collections for youth, they're being collected via online, and then they're being receipted back out to them, refunded back out to them as we can contact them. Capital expenses, major expenses. So in service equipment under our capital area, we have one department that's dedicated to capital expenses. There's a credit of $62.79 for truing up our prepaids. Under our MOA2 building project, contractor payment apps for the building contractor, $189,338. We had to repair the sprinkler system out there, $17,409. The restroom rental and service is $4,062 for the month of July. We will have that restroom trailer paid for. We are buying it. That's as of the end of November. The office trailer lease amounts to $1,753. The ending cash for July balance is $2,750,343. Moving on to our investments. Our investments at the county and the state pool total $21,796,450. In the month of July, we earned in that amount is $92,583 in interest. That concludes the my budget update for July of 2023 with the best of my ability without auditing the records of prior months.
questions for Chris on this? And is the board comfortable taking action on the monthly budget update report, considering this was the first time you saw it?
Mayor Patrol,
Yeah, go ahead.
I did not have a chance to go through those numbers and so forth because we had a previous meeting at 10 o'clock, so I would rather not vote on it today.
How does the board feel about that? Do we want to table that motion, or is there folks that are comfortable?
I would move that we table this till the next meeting of SCAP.
All right, motion by Ron, is there a second?
Councilmember Holst seconds the motion.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. We will table that. Please put that on the next board agenda. All right. Monthly update report for August, please. Go ahead, Chris.
August. I just finished these. We proofed these this morning. Well, all of these reports in the conference room. Sales tax revenue for August came in at $1,615,661. Excuse me, $1,615,661. It's about 9% above of budget. Excuse me, I misspoke. It's about 9% above the collections in 2022 at this time. Federal operating grant revenue collected for the month of August, $2,990,685. Federal capital revenue, grant revenue collected $115,184. Our fair revenue collected for August of 2023, $79,122. Our major expenses in the capital areas, we had a small payment to Kimley Horn Professional Services for Marketplace Drive, $558. We purchased 7 Chrysler Pacifica vans, the licensing, and they came without spare tires. So we bought spare tire kits and outfitted them. It totaled $320,684. Our MOA2 building, the building contractor payment apps totaled $200,312. The architect payments totaled $74,390. The RFQ to advertise for A&E out there services was just $627. The restroom rental and service $4,588, and the office trailer leases $1,753. Our ending cash balance jumped up at the end of August of 2023 due to the grant collections. It sits at $4,987,405. Our reserves also increased by $96,800 in the month of August to total $21,893,250. Staff recommends the board approve the monthly budget report for August.
Great. Questions for Chris on the August report? Do we want to postpone this one as well? Or would you like to adopt it?
Yeah, I would move to postpone it
All
till the
right.
next meeting.
All right. Right, motion to postpone the adoption of the monthly update report by Ron, a second by Steve Sexton. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Before we move on, the board, it is unacceptable that we did not receive this report till an hour before a meeting. So I'm going to ask that not occur again and that we have them in our packets beginning next month. Right. Thank you. Full discussion items is 7C is award of a architect and engineering services agreement for MOA2 design phase 2 and 3. Crystal.
Thank you. I'll try to be brief. Pursuant to the Brooks Act and RCW 39.8 governing contracts and procedural requirements for the procurement of A&E services, Skagit Transit published request for qualification number 23-018-F on July 31st, 2023 by posting the documents on its website. This process results in the most highly qualified consultant with a price being negotiated after the contract award. It is a fair and reasonable, if a fair and reasonable price cannot be negotiated with a top ranked firm, negotiations with that firm will terminate and Skagit Transit will enter negotiations with the second highest ranking firm.
The legal ad for the RFQ was published in the Skagit Valley Herald and on Skagit Transit's website. Notices were posted at Skagit Station and the existing MOA facility. 6 firms were represented at the pre-submittal meeting held at MOA 2 on August 11th, 2023. 2 responsive submittals were received by the August 31st deadline. Presentations and interviews were conducted with 2 candidates on September 27th, followed by evaluations in a 3-member selection committee. Final scores were determined by the committee are as follows. Kimley Horn, 549, and KPFF got 567 points. Staff recommends the board award KPF Consulting Engineer and Architectural Engineering Services Agreement 23-018-F pending successful negotiations. In the event of an agreement cannot be reached, Skagit Transit further recommends the contract be awarded to Kimley Horn and Associates.
All right, questions for Crystal on this particular item?
Point information, what was the major differences? I mean, almost 20 points difference. What were the made the 20?
So I'd have to go back and look at those scoring sheets. We did, we all looked at the submittals prior to, and then did the, sat on the interview or the panel for the submittals. One of the biggest was they both actually scored very well, and we had a lot of confidence in both firms. The 2 majors, or the 1 major, I should say, is I felt like KPFF had a much better understanding of our urgency to get this project done, or the A&E design done in a timely fashion. Whereas Kimley Horn, the panel didn't feel like they had that same sense of urgency. We recognize in going through this A&E process again, that there's probably going to be a delay perhaps of about 4 months. And we have a very tight deadline that we laid out for both firms, or actually for everybody when the RFQ went out. And we feel like they were the most, in fact, we did the interviews at Skagit Station, and the firm KPFF came in fully prepared, and they understood that we had some really strict timelines, and they seemed like they could meet those timelines without any question. So there's been a lot of delays on this project, and we emphasized our goal was to get the A&E process done as quickly as possible so that we could move on to the next step, which is to find another contractor. And we felt like they could definitely meet those, our very strict timelines.
Yep.
Right, any other questions for Crystal on this? I think we're lucky we got actually 2 people to choose from, so KPFF has
Agreed.
been great projects as far as the city of Mount Vernon is concerned.
And that was another factor, that they were doing the library project.
Awesome, what's your pleasure, board?
I move that we adopt the staff recommendation to award to KPFF consulting and engineers on this agreement, and accept the recommendation that in the event of no agreement reached, that they can contact Kimley Horn.
Right, thank you. Motion by Commissioner Janicki, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, second by Mayor Sexton. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries, thank you. All right, item D is approve a contract for 13-013, an extension for general counsel legal services. Crystal, this is your item.
On November 22nd, 2013, Skagit Transit entered into contract number 13-013 for legal services with Langabeer and Traxler. The original term was for 5 years with 2 5-year successor year extensions. The contract is currently in its first 5-year extension, which is due to expire November 30th, 2023. Skagit would like to exercise the second 5-year extension from December 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2028, with a not to exceed of $200,000. 2023 budget currently includes legal services to December 31st, 2023. Legal services will be included in each subsequent budget year until the term is up. Staff recommends the board approve the second 5-year extension to this contract.
Great, questions for Crystal on this?
Motion to approve the second 5-year extension from December 1st of 2023 through November 30, 2028, not to exceed $200,000.
Thank you. Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Browning, second by Mayor Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item E today, over. Oops, next one, is to approve a resolution -2023-7, changes to Skagit Transit charge card issuance for staff. Crystal.
One of the early board actions after the formation of Skagit Transit was to establish the use of charge cards for key members of staff. Throughout the years, changes have been made through board resolutions to change the staff that are allowed to use a card, as well as the amounts those individuals are authorized to spend, either for changes to job scope or to match inflation. Today, we present another change to the issuance of charge cards. The purpose is to reevaluate which positions need charge cards, and a spending limit that is appropriate to that position's day-to-day positions, including any larger expenses that may arise, such as conference registration and travel. The following chart below outlines the positions in possession of a charge card and the amount that position is limited to. I do want to point out, Mayor Boudreau, I know we had discussed a $5,000 limit for me. We actually found a previous resolution that already gave me a $10,000 limit. So we went ahead and kept it the same. Staff recommends the board approve resolution 23-07, authorizing the revision to the Skagit Transit charge card issuance.
All right, questions for Crystal on this particular item? Ron, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
Always obviously assuming the receipts and everything have to be cleared and everything, so this is not for public dollars. I want to make sure the public understands that.
Right.
I move to recommend the approval of the resolution number 2023-07, authorizing the revision of the Skagit Transit charge card issuances.
Thank you.
Second.
Give it to Peter. All right.
Yes.
Motion
Yes.
by Ron and a second by, motion by Commissioner Weiss and seconded by Commissioner Browning. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Righty. Item F tonight is to approve a resolution 2023-08. This is approving bank account access. Crystal, this is you again, please.
Skagit Transit is excited to welcome our new finance accounting manager, Chris Arkell. In order to perform the duties of his position, he will need access to Skagit Transit's bank accounts. The purpose of this resolution is to request that he be able to access these accounts and to maintain a record of positions who should have access. The current list of authorized users for the Skagit Transit bank accounts are as follows: myself as an admin signer, Chris Damey as an admin signer. Chris Arkell, once approved, will have admin signer access. Sarah Navarez, our payroll coordinator, has read-only access. Whitney Davis, the fair and revenue supervisor, has read-only access, and that's because she's a backup to Whitney Davis. And Clark Newber has been allowed access over the last 3 months because they've been assisting with our finances, of course, and they have read-only access. Staff recommends the board approve resolution 2023-08, approving Chris Arkell's bank account access for Skagit Transit's banking systems.
All right, thank you. Questions from the board? All right, what's your pleasure?
I move to approve resolution number 2023-08, approving Chris Arkell's bank account access for Skagit Transit System.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. So, motion by Commissioner Browning, a second by Mayor Miller. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, item G today is to approve the long-range transit plan, and this is Brad Windler, our planning and outreach supervisor. Brad.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This fall, Skagit Transit will begin conducting a series of planning studies that will review the services that we offer under the project title Long Range Transit Plan. This project is expected to last approximately 1 year and will provide a set of prioritized service recommendations. The Long Range Transit Plan will encompass 3 smaller studies. The Regional Transit Study, in partnership with WTA and Island Transit, this study will review our county connector network for a cost of $200,000. Both Island Transit and WTA are contributing funding to help cover the local match, but Skagit Transit is the lead agency. The Washington State Department of Transportation Consolidated Grant Program will be providing most of the funding. This is a North-Sound Transportation Alliance project and will identify our future needs for inter-county public transportation. Funding for this is as follows, with $160,000 in grant funds from Washington State Department of Transportation, $20,000 in matching funds from our partner transit agencies, and a $20,000 local match from our 2023 budget. The second study is a comprehensive operations analysis. This will review our local services. There will be a demographic review to make sure that we are not missing any target populations. They will conduct a review of ridership and make recommendations on future changes. Funding for this portion of the study is, or portion of the long-range transit plan, sorry. I don't. Okay. Okay, can you still hear me? Okay. Hopefully people online can still hear me. For the comprehensive operations analysis, we have reviewed the 2023 budget to find funding sources for this because this was not something that had been previously included in the budget. There are a series of grant-funded projects that are on hold, and we would like to divert the local match for those projects in the amount of $45,000. Additionally, in the Skagit Transit 2023 budget line items, there are some that were unused or underutilized, and that total from the local budget would come to $95,000. The third portion of the long-range transit plan will be the microtransit study. This is a study to determine if microtransit services are appropriate and to develop an operational plan for how they would function in Skagit County. We have identified 2 areas of study, Northwest Skagit County and Fidalgo Island, for possible implementation. The operational plan developed would serve as a blueprint that could be replicated in other parts of Skagit County if microtransit is implemented. So this project could provide benefits throughout the county, even though the initial focus is in Western Skagit County. Funding is as follows for this portion. The Federal Transit Administration Areas of Persistent Poverty Grant Program will provide $80,000, and our local match for that grant is $20,000 from the 2023 budget. Kimley Horn Consulting is under contract as our on-call planning and engineering firm. Staff have worked with the consultant and staff at our partner agencies to develop a scope of work. The scope of work is expected to cost $413,000. However, the staff is asking for authorization of the $413,000 plus a $27,000 contingency fund for a total of $440,000. It is possible that as we go through this project, that we may want to engage in additional outreach and other activities that are not apparent in advance. The contingency funding would cover any unanticipated expenses. Staff is recommending that we conduct a long-range transit plan.
Right.
As one final note, the budget items that we refer to here that I listed out come to a total of $448,000. So there is sufficient grant funds, local match, and diverted items to cover the $440,000.
Okay. Thank you, Brad. Any questions from the board on this? It's ambitious, Brad.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
All right. Any questions? Do we want to take action on this today? Yes. Thank you.
I second that.
All right, thank you. Motion by Mayor Miller and a second by Commissioner Browning. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Sorry, Commissioner Janik, go ahead. I went too
Yes,
fast for you.
a question for you, Chris, as we go through a process like this by resolution and approve budget amendments, how are those reflected, or where do I see original budget, then these various changes have been made at board meetings so that I get an amended budget. Do I see that somewhere in the financial reporting? They're talking about moving buckets of money here, and I know we've approved like a Clark Newber expenditure. I just want to know where I see that.
There's a policy in place. So we've talked about budget amendments just recently since I have been back just in the last 4 days. There's a policy apparently that we have where we are not required to do line item resolutions. And it's my understanding budget controls are at the very bottom line for transit. So at the very bottom line, they don't even separate capital and operating. But as I explained to Crystal, my direction from you, Commissioner Janicki, when you were board chair, was that we wanted to see a separation. And in county and city governments, we have categorical budget categories that we do not exceed, not line item level budgets, but categorical, meaning supplies, professional services, all of our various services and charges. So I am open to implementing any of that because the budget controls are at the bottom. I had a file going with things just of this nature where we would bring budget amendments to the board on items where you've approved them, such as this, and it has a budgetary impact, to come back to follow up to say, you approved this for $400,000. Here's the entry to make that change. Now, all the tools that we have are decades old, so it'd be in Excel. So what I envisioned is very much the same as what Skagit County uses. You have a spreadsheet that you give your state auditors that has your original budget, and then each amendment that's outlined throughout the year to your amended ending your budget, your modified budget level. It's on the fly with all the resolution numbers across the top and what they hit. So I envisioned implementing something like that, but I'm somewhat confused and need direction, and we need to update our policies with respects to what level of budget controls you'd like to see. Does that help you?
Yeah, we definitely talked about separating out operating and capital for sure. And thank you for reminding me, but we have I guess this will be folded into the overall work plan and policies that the board approved. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing something that
There's
already
no
existed.
policy that requires us to complete line item change resolutions, which means taking from one line or one department to another. We can do it in-house without board approval according to the policy, or shift budgets around. However, we have not. I can say that the last budget amendment that I keyed into the system was an amendment that Arden brought to you in early 2022, because when I arrived and I ran the profit and loss statements, they didn't match the resolution totals that were in that 2022 resolution. So I brought the system current then.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, item H then is 7H is a new CAC member, which is great. That is Brad. Are you going to introduce us to this?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
The Skagit Transit Community Advisory Committee has received a new application for membership. The CAC has met with the candidate and is recommending the following citizen be approved to be a CAC member. Ray Bach. At its September meeting, the CAC moved to recommend approval of this application for a new member. So our recommendation is the board approve the new member, and if Judy Jones is online and has any additional comments, I would.
Thank you, Brad. I was just looking to see if Judy, are you online?
Yes.
All right. Would you like to speak to Mr. Bach?
Just, well, I've not had a lot of interaction with him at this point, but the interaction that I have had, which has been during meetings, has been very positive. I think he's going to be a great asset to the committee and would love to see y'all's approval.
All right. Thank you so much, Judy. All right. Any questions for Brad or Judy from the board?
Move to approve Ray Bach for the Citizens Advisory Council.
Thank you.
Committee.
Motion by Commissioner Browning, a second by Mayor Sexton. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7I.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy, is to approve the fare-free fixed route service for the veteran stand-down event. And this again is Brad.
Skagit Transit was recently contacted by staff from various Skagit County veteran organizations about an upcoming event at the Skagit County Fairgrounds. These organizations are hosting an event called a Veteran Stand Down on October 20th and 21st, 2023. This event is geared towards connecting veterans from Skagit County with needed social and medical services. Skagit Transit has been asked to provide fare-free service on our fixed route services. This may assist low-income veterans in attending this event. Skagit Transit, or staff, I should say, recommends approving fare-free service on October 20th and 21st for fixed route service for all routes that operate solely in Skagit County. The estimated budget impact is $882 in lost cash fares over those 2 days.
Great. Thank you, Brad. Board, do you have any questions for Brad?
I make a motion to approve the fare-free fixed route service for the Veterans Standout event.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. So motion by Mayor Sexton, a second by Commissioner Janicki. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, that completes our action items. We're going to go into our informational items. Item 8A is the CEO update. Crystal?
Thank you. I began preparing my notes for a verbal report out today, and because of the last 3 meetings to include today have gone quite long, I'm decided just to give it to Laura this morning since we had to do an update anyway. So I gave it to her last second and she didn't have an opportunity to proof it for me, which she normally does a great job. So you'll see 1 or 2 grammatical errors in there because that was intended originally just to be my report out to you. For the sake of brevity, I'm not going to give the report out. However, I want it noted that I will make public comments to give a report out to Ms. Kennedy's statement next month. Hopefully we'll have a normal board meeting next month.
Okay, that sounds just fine. All right. Are we doing a CAC report? Judy, I know there's a in the packet, but did you want to say anything to us? You're welcome to take the floor.
Well, certainly, thank you. And of course, the report is in there, as you note. And I want to thank you all for approving Ray Bach as our new member. Like I said, I think he's going to be a good asset for the committee. Okay, so then as November's committee election month is going to be in November, we held nominations this month. The committee plans to update its bylaws, and 3 of the members of the committee have been assigned to construct a proposal and then turn that in for some discussion and possible action in November. Those CAC members who plan to volunteer in support of the upcoming commemoration of Skagit Transit's 30th year of service on November the 1st. The agency's new community engagement coordinator was introduced, and he gave a brief overview of his work experience and skills that he brings to the table for Skagit Transit. A parenthetical here is I said he was a community engagement specialist, and it's actually coordinator. And if the board needs me to correct that report and turn it in, I would be happy to do so. Let me know. Please advise. Now, after some reporting and discussion of Region Awareness Committee, which is basically our connector committee, and through roundtable, we adjourned the meeting. Respectfully submitted, Judy Jones, Chair of the CAC.
All right, thank you, Judy. Does the board have any questions for Judy? Okay, awesome. Next up is our ridership report, which is included. Did you want to make any comments about that, Brad?
Just that we had another nice month of solid ridership growth at over 12%.
That's good news. Thank you for pointing that out. Ron, did you have a question on
Point of
that?
information, I have a lot of different acronyms and UNO.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Adoption of the UMO, what is that?
Oh, UMO is our electronic fare payment system.
Find that.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. With that, we have completed our agenda items, and so we will now adjourn. Oh, wait. Next month, thank you. Next meeting is regularly scheduled for November 15. There's some conflict. The board of Skagit Council of Governments Transportation Policy Board actually canceled our meeting in November because of some conflicts. All the commissioners will be gone that week, and there is a event down in SeaTac that some of the mayors may go. So I think we might have trouble with a quorum. So I wanted to propose a new meeting date of November 8, so a week prior at 9 in the morning to kind of get it done. Does anyone have a? Can everyone consider that date?
It's 1 week after the retreat, which may press what else needs to be done.
Right. If we move it a week later, it's the week of Thanksgiving, which I don't know if anyone's interested in that. So we're back to the 9th, or I mean, sorry, the 8th at 9 a.m. Okay, seeing no objections, I think I need a motion to cancel or reschedule next month's meeting. I'm right, we'll just do that. Is there a motion to reschedule the meeting of November 15 to November 8 at 9 a.m.?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Who is Browning? Okay, motion by Commissioner Janicki, a second by Commissioner Browning to reschedule our November meeting to November 8 at 9 a.m. in the same location. Hopefully it's still available. If staff could double check that, that would be great. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll reschedule that. And then just a reminder, thank you, Commissioner Janicki, for our board retreat on November 1st. You should all have that on your calendars. Thank you for those who coordinated that. All right. And with that, we'll be adjourned at 12:17.